Put yourself in the Lord's year of 2018. Someone asks you who the best third baseman in baseball is, there's a damn good chance you're saying Nolan Arenado. Someone that asks you who the best first baseman in baseball is, there's a damn good chance you're saying Paul Goldschmidt. So naturally, if those two were on one team rather than separate in their own division, which is what they were for the longest time, that'd be wild. Goldschmidt would get traded, but it wasn't to Arenado's team. It was to St. Louis, and it immediately paid off for them. The Cardinals went to the postseason for the first time in 4 years in 2019. Goldschmidt had a good year. The Cardinals upset the Braves, got swept by the eventual champs, but things look good moving forward, especially when the front office eventually swung a deal a couple years later to get arguably baseball's best third baseman paired with arguably baseball's best first baseman. The Rockies hate winning, want nothing to do with it, begged on their hands and knees for someone to take Nolan Arenado for nothing. And so the Cardinals said, "Aight," and you now have something real special. 11 combined All-Stars between the two players. This was going to be fun. And it was pretty fun, I guess, for a little bit. But unfortunately ended up as one of the more wasted opportunities in baseball history. Really quick, as always, if you're part of the 59% of viewers not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button if you enjoy the videos, as the Cardinals' 2021 season was the first featuring the new dynamic duo. Goldie finished 6th in MVP voting and a Gold Glove. Arenado also got one in an All-Star appearance, and the team overall was mostly good, other than a really bad June, which was followed by a couple of good months and then an insane September. The Brewers won the division, so the Cards had to settle for a wildcard spot, but they were riding a lot of momentum going into LA for the wildcard game. They had a big winning streak at one point. Things were riding really high. And it was a game that ended up being really good until the gut-punching finish. Nothing like a sudden walk-off home run to end your entire season. Well, after making the postseason in 2021, the Cardinals said ew and made the most obvious move to promptly fire their manager. I still don't fully know why they did that, but hey, whatever. On to bigger and better things, which was true. 2022 was better. From start to finish, they were by a pretty large margin the best team in the NL Central, especially in the second half, again, just like the year before. The Cardinals really liked picking it up when things started to get more serious, obviously a good thing. And as for the big duo, Arenado put up his strongest season since his Colorado days, but something I find interesting is how much higher his OPS plus was in 2022, even though his OPS was lower than the ones he had with the Rockies. For those not aware, really quick context, OPS is on base plus slugging percentage. The higher it is, the better that hitter is at doing everything, at getting on base and hitting for power. It's a good stat for showing the full picture of a hitter, at least mostly. OPS plus is a stat that adjusts a player's OPS for league and park factors, so it gives it more context. And for example, from 2016 through 2019, Arenado's OPS was 947 and his OPS plus was 131. 100 is league average. Yet in 2022, Arenado's OPS plus was over 50 points over league average at 151, despite his OPS being more than 50 points lower. I guess that just shows how juiced the balls were those years earlier. I just found that interesting. But either way, Arenado hit well in 2022, and Goldie, the man went out and won an MVP. He was an absolute beast, but not just that. Goldie was obviously the best, followed pretty close by Arenado, but the Cardinals also had Pujols magic, Albert Pujols. Despite being 48 years old and over a year removed from being released from the Angels, Pujols joined back with his OG team for one last ride, and it was glorious. Somehow, someway, at age 57, Albert Pujols had his best season in 7 years, connecting for 24 home runs, with 18 of them coming in the second half to get the record of over 700 home runs. Not suspicious at all. The Cardinals really had something special going, winning the division and getting home field advantage this time now against the wild card Phillies. And after almost 7 innings of nobody scoring in game 1, Juan Yepez got a hold of one with 2 outs to make it 2-0 St. Louis. The Phillies blank first, the crowd goes wild, closer Ryan Helsley comes in for the 5-out save, pitches a scoreless 8th, strikes out the first hitter on the 9th, and the Cardinals are 2 outs away from a Game 1 win. Things are already looking much brighter than last year. Let's go. Cardinals go on to win the next, move on, and win it all as Albert Pujols rides into the sunset. That's not what happened. I lied to you. I'm sorry. 1 out base hit. That's when Helsley started to lose it. Walks Harper, walks Castellanos, hits Alec Bohm. Time to take him out. Here comes Andre Palante and
punched out and past the diving Edman into right field. 1-run scores. 2-run score.
If you listen close enough, you'll hear Dave Dombrowski asking Albert Pujols to trade Alec Bohm to him for the rights of his firstborn son. he declined. What happened next was a good way of foreshadowing, because Goldschmidt makes a nice play on a grounder but fails to throw the runner out at home. Then Arenado blatantly botches a play he'd usually make, resulting in another run as the Phillies go on to win 6-3. Then some more foreshadowing the next game, with the Cardinals down 2-0, and now all of a sudden 5 outs away from having their season come crashing down, Paul Goldschmidt, the MVP, strikes out with 2 runners on. Up next, Nolan Arenado. Strikeout to end the rally. Man, the MLB scriptwriters are cruel. And with 2 more runners on in the 9th, a Tommy Edman pop-up would do it. They failed to do anything, and the Cardinals have been nothing other than a disaster since. Goldie and Arenado definitely fell off from what they did in 2022, but they still had pretty good 2023 seasons. Doesn't really matter when the team overall just sucked. The Cardinals went from 93 wins and a division title in 2022 to 71 wins and a last place finish in 2023. The world hadn't seen a bigger fall off since Blueface. The Cardinals were a lot better this past year in 2024, but when you're comparing it to 71 wins, a lot better doesn't necessarily translate to a playoff spot. Despite the Cardinals just being bleh all year, they finished in 2nd place, but don't let that fool you into thinking they were a good team. The NL Central Division is an abomination to everything we stand for in America. But here's what was also really concerning. Paul Goldschmidt decided to all of a sudden hit like me in MLB The Show. And yeah, people have down years, of course, it happens, they're human. But this was Paul Goldschmidt, someone whose worst season was one most players could only dream to have. He'd never been bad his entire career up till this point, so to struggle as bad as he did was bizarre. It was really bad. He did hit better in the second half, but by that point it was clear what was going on. It was the end of an era. Nolan Arenado had just about exactly an average season offensively, and this is the last we'll see of these two together. The Cardinals decided to move on from Goldie, who became a free agent, and not offer him anything. Nolan Arenado isn't a free agent, but has been traded, so as we speak, Nolan Arenado is packing his bags for LA. As we speak, Nolan Arenado is packing his bags for Boston. As we speak, Nolan Arenado is packing his bags for New York to join the Yankees. And the future looks unclear for the Cards. Where do they go from here? Well, Chaim Bloom, the former Red Sox general manager, is now running things in St. Louis. So for those not aware, Chaim is very analytical and into operating like the Tampa Bay Rays, making a lot of under-the-radar moves and trying to build teams in sneaky ways like that. And the Rays were the original team he was employed by before getting hired by the Red Sox. And it could work, but it may be a little frustrating for Cardinals fans, because with that will probably come being a little more cheap, not going after big-name guys with big price tags. And I do think at least partially going that route could be big for the Cardinals in the state the organization's currently in. They don't have a very good farm system, meaning their future from the inside doesn't look so great. And Chaim Bloom is the biggest reason why the Red Sox farm system is currently as strong as it is. So he'll probably help out with that and hopefully get winning back on the field soon for the Cardinals. But a team like the Dodgers has gotten to a point they can spend money like it's nothing, because they're set with a good base and future from the players they already have. They built a really nice thing going that they can then complement with big money contracts. The Cardinals don't have that, so the answer to their issues wouldn't be spending more money. At least that wouldn't be most of the answer. They need to rebuild, but it does suck for sure. The fact that the Cardinals had one of the best corner infields of all time for 4 straight years, a period that featured a combined 2 Silver Slugger awards, 3 Gold Gloves, 4 All-Star appearances, an MVP award, and 2 playoff appearances, only to completely waste it. Shame. The ending to 2022 was wild until you saw the magical run the Phillies went on, so that kind of made sense. But then they ended up as a disappointment, only falling off each year in the playoffs since. So I'd like to ask the MLB scriptwriters, what was even the point of them beating the Cardinals? Why couldn't we have Pujols win one last time instead of the Phillies doing what they did, only to not win for the next 3 years? I don't know. I'm just a little confused about that plot point. But Goldie and Arenado paired with Albert Pujols' magic failing was enough to show something was off. It didn't work. All of them are now gone, and an interesting offseason and 2025 season awaits the Cardinals. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching.